She didn't beg Lu Jinian for help, but she was sure that he would definitely help her, for he liked Qiao Hao. At that time, the situation was too rushed for her to consider it in depth. Who would have thought that the both of them would end up with a child? Xiao Jiamu's feelings aside, Qiao Hao was still Xiao family's daughter-in-law to the public. If the Xiao family's daughter-in-law were to be pregnant, everyone would assume that it belonged to Xiao Jiamu, so once the child was born, the Xiao family would be forced to accept the child. Previously, she had strongly objected to Lu Jinian entering the Xiao family. How could she let his child enter now? Qiao Hao wasn't aware that she was pregnant, but as a mother, Han Rushu knew that she would not bear to abort the child even if it wasn't planned. At that time, if she were to force Qiao Hao to abort the child, that would cause tension between the two of them, and to protect her child, the two of them might end up on bad ties, which would not be beneficial to her at all. As long as Xiao Jiamu was not awake, Lu Jinian and Qiao Hao were still useful. Hence, that afternoon, after pondering for a while, she decided that the best way was to not let the baby have a chance to be born. Lu Jinian sat in a daze for a long while before standing to wash his face in the washroom. He then sat for another 30 minutes before Qiao Hao was pushed out into her ward. Her face was pale as she slept in silence, oblivious to whatever had happened. Abortion wasn't a major operation, but there were many things to take note of. She couldn't afford to get cold, and needed plenty of rest. Sex was also prohibited. The doctor listed everything out once, and Lu Jinian memorized everything in detail. In the end, the doctor seemed to have recalled something, asking Lu Jinian, "Has your wife always had trouble sleeping?" Lu Jinian frowned slightly. He hadn't slept with her much, so he wasn't sure of her sleep quality. He turned to ask, "What's wrong?" "When I checked her blood, I realized there was a large trace of sleeping pills in her bloodstream, which is why I was wondering if she has sleeping problems." Lu Jinian frowned more. He had never known that she was reliant of sleeping pills. His heart clenched slightly, and he pressed his lips together, not saying anything. "Too many sleeping pills would cause a dependency. You should advise her to stop taking it. It's extremely bad for health, and she might have not known that she was pregnant, which is why she didn't stop her intake. The large amount of sleeping pills won't affect her much, but it is different for a baby, causing the miscarriage." The doctor paused for a while before adding, "The main reason for the miscarriage were the sleeping pills.